Hey everybody, welcome back to Tech Odyssey. So today I'm here to do a comparison video and have a look at these two fantastic phones, the Xiaomi Mi 11 and the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra. Now these two phones are pretty much top of the weight class whenever it comes to Android. They are Apex phones. Snapdragon 888 processors in both of them. They both have a phenomenal 6.8-inch AMOLED display with a 120Hz refresh rate. Both of them got 108 megapixel cameras, and they're loaded out completely. These are some fully decked out phones, and we're going to talk about it because why not? It's an interesting conversation. Two expensive phones, let's put them next to each other. But before we get into that, I do want to say if this is your first time stopping by the channel, I appreciate you being here. If you enjoy the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. Now let's take a look at these two fancy boys. So I've been using the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra ever since it came out about a week ago. I've had my primary SIM in this, and I think it's a fantastic phone. Probably just about the best phone that Samsung has ever made. It took all of the problems that I mostly had with the S20 Ultra, and it mostly fixed them. There are a couple things that I'm not crazy about, like the fact that it's missing SD card storage. They took out the MST payment method, but they did some other nice things, like lowering the price by $200. Of course, you're also kind of offset because there's no power brick and there's no earphones, none of that crazy stuff. So there's not a whole lot in the box other than the phone. And it doesn't even have a screen protector installed on it, so I'm not crazy about that either. But this phone is decked out to the nines, loaded out for bear. It has been incredible. I've really enjoyed using it. It's got Snapdragon 888 processor, 6.8-inch AMOLED display, 120Hz refresh rate, under the screen ultrasonic fingerprint sensor. It's more secure than the Mi 11. And 40 megapixel front-facing selfie camera. Plus it's got the periscope telephoto lens on the back and a regular telephoto lens and an ultra wide. So this is, it's fully complemented. It's got everything you could ask for, and it even has S Pen support. And it's not just the one that comes with the Samsung silicone case with S Pen. You can use the Note 20 stylus, you can use the Tab S6 stylus, you can use the Tab S7 stylus. You can use pretty much whatever Samsung stylus you want for any of the devices, and I like that. It works really well. 5,000 milliamp battery. They brought back the juice from the S20 Ultra, and at $11.99, I think that it's worth it. But here's something that Samsung did, and it really makes this conversation more interesting, especially since the Mi 11 just launched at about $900 American for the global edition. They lowered the price, and you can go to Best Buy, you can go to Amazon. This may not be true later on, but as of today, February the 8th, $9.99 for the S21 Ultra. And I'm sitting here kind of kicking myself because I paid $11.99 for it less than 2 weeks ago. So they got me there. Of course, Samsung is very well known for pulling the rug out from under you and their prices, but they did a really good job putting this together. Wireless charging, reverse wireless charging. It's also got Gorilla Glass Victus on it. It's got the USB-C charging port on the bottom, and yeah, it looks really nice. This is a sharp looking phone. Does everything that you could possibly want and more. There are a couple different storage variants and memory sizes for this guy. You can get the baseline model, which is 12 gigs of RAM and 128 gigabytes of storage. They have a 256 model, and then if you bump up to the 512, you get a whopping 16 gigabytes of RAM, which is just amazing. My Intel i9 gaming computer has 16 gigs of RAM. So what you're going to do with that in here, I don't know. I still haven't quite figured that one out other than it being a selling point. But interstage right, we have the Xiaomi Mi 11. And I was really looking forward to this for a long time. It was the first commercial Android phone with the Snapdragon 888 in it. The Chinese and I guess Asian market version launched around late December. So they were like the first ones out in the market to get it out the door. And I think it was pretty well received. And I finally got the global launch edition, which actually launched today, February the 8th. But you're going to hear some similarities here. Wireless charging, reverse wireless charging, Snapdragon 888 processor, 6.8-inch AMOLED display, 6.81 if you want to be technical, but who wants to be technical? 108 megapixel camera. Now it's going to diverge a little bit. It's got a 4600 milliamp battery instead of a 5000. It's got a 20 megapixel front-facing selfie camera instead of the 40 over on the S21 Ultra. And then this one has a little bit less in the RAM department. So you can get this same baseline storage, 128 gigabytes of RAM, but baseline starting off at 8 gigs of RAM. And if you bump it up to the 256 option, you get 12 gigs. Now, I don't really think that that really matters one way or the other. Either one of these phones, you're going to be perfectly fine whether it's a baseline 8 gigs of RAM or 12 gigs. I use my phone extensively, intensively, and all the time, and I have never run into a RAM issue with 8 gigs of RAM or more. So you're going to be fine whether you're playing Fortnite, whether you're drafting documents, whether you're using a wireless DeX feature, whatever, you're going to have plenty of RAM, so don't worry about it. Now, they both have stereo speakers. This has Dolby Atmos, which really makes for a nice sound experience. And then this guy right here, the Mi 11, has Harman Kardon dual stereo speakers. You've got the speaker on the bottom and then the speaker on the top. Fantastic. It works really nice. And it's got Bluetooth 5.2 in the Mi 11, which allows you to connect to 2 different sets of Bluetooth devices at once. Pretty darn cool. But wait, the S21 Ultra does as well. So you're going to hear and see a lot of similarities between these two phones. So if there are so many similarities, why does it matter? Like, which one really is better? Well, having used this one for a couple of days versus this one, I gotta say I lean more heavily towards the S21 Ultra. Why? I like that it has the S Pen support. That's really nice. I also like the fact that it has Samsung's OneUI. I really appreciate that. I use a lot of Samsung devices, but MIUI, their new version, 12 and 12.5, which came out with this phone, is pretty nice as well too. So the operating system really, I think, is getting to be where it's almost kind of a wash. And when you looked at what Xiaomi used to bring to the table, it always felt like it was a little bit behind Samsung and the rest of the Android UIs over here in the United States. Maybe because it's different, maybe because they skin it differently. I'm not really sure. I just never really cared for MIUI, especially not 10 and previously. So MIUI 12, I have actually kind of liked a lot. It really makes for a more enjoyable experience. So talking about some of the things that would make me like the S21 Ultra more than the Xiaomi Mi 11. Well, the S21 Ultra, like I said, the S Pen, I like that. Also, the haptic feedback is better. This is the best haptic feedback on any phone that I have ever used. It's very precise. It really makes for a great user experience, especially while you're typing. The screen is beautiful. Of course, the screen is also beautiful on the Mi 11, so I don't really give it too much of a leg up there. They are both HDR10 Plus compliant screens. They both max out at 1500 nits of brightness, which is enough to scorch your retinas. Like, if you open this at 2 o'clock in the morning and your brightness is all the way up, you may cause permanent damage to your eyeballs. I'm joking, 100%, but you'll feel like it for a couple of seconds because it's like a blinding light. But that's great when you're outside though, because you can use these out in the daytime outside. Max sunshine, you can actually still see the screen, so that's good. Now, one little tip, if you ever turn the brightness down, like on your S21 Ultra and you go outside and you can't see it, use the Bixby and tell it to turn the brightness up. I finally thought of that like 2 days ago when that occurred to me, because these AMOLED panels get so dark, if you turn the brightness down, if you walk outside and it's bright, you cannot see the screen to turn your brightness up. So use whatever voice assistant you have to turn the brightness up. Either way, that'll help. So in addition to the stylus support and also the haptic feedback, which make for a more robust and more enjoyable experience, the other tangible thing that's really important to me when it comes to the S21 Ultra versus the Mi 11 is that the S21 Ultra is capable of shooting 4K at 60 frames per second on the back and on the front. And when I do a lot of vlog style videos and testing out the cameras and going out and shooting stuff on location, it's really important to me to have the 4K at 60. So when you look at the iPhone 12 Pro Max, 4K 60 on the front and the back. The S21 Ultra, 4K 60 on the front and the back. When you come to the Xiaomi Mi 11, you get 4K 60 on the back, but you only get up to 1080p at 60 frames per second on the front. The front doesn't even shoot 4K video, so that was kind of a disappointment. But looking at the price points and what they bring to the table, this is a very good phone. And this is a very good alternative. And had I got this phone before I got the S21 Ultra, I think I would have thought twice about buying it, because the Xiaomi Mi 11 is a very complete phone. It's very enjoyable, and some of those number offsets, like the 20 megapixel front-facing selfie camera versus the 40, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. I actually really like the cameras on the Mi 11. They've been very impressive. The video quality is top-notch, and this one has a leg up in 8K video because on the rear camera, The Xiaomi Mi 11 will do 8K at 30 frames per second or 24 frames per second, and the S21 Ultra only does 24. So that trade-off with the front-facing selfie camera, there's still a notch in the Xiaomi department with the 8K 30 frames per second, so that's pretty neat. And one other component when it comes to the video quality is you get the live focus video on the front camera and the back camera on the S21 Ultra. There is no live focus video on the Xiaomi Mi 11. But one cool thing with the Xiaomi Mi 11 video is you can do dual video recording. So you can have the split screen on your phone and it records out of the front camera and the back camera at the same time, which is very lucrative for a lot of different situations. So wanted to highlight both of those differences there as well. As far as day-to-day performance, they are both fantastic. The Snapdragon 888 is the most impressive processor I think I've ever used. Now, there's probably going to be a couple iPhone guys who are saying, oh bro, the A14, man, it's the best, most fastest chip in the world. Yeah, that's great, until you actually realize that it's handicapped by iOS. Ever heard of it? It's kind of on the laggy side. In fact, if you use the A14 chip in the iPhone 12 Pro Max, it still feels like the iPhone 7. The user interface, as much as it is as they have continuity, and it's nice because you can pick up your iPhone 7 or your iPhone 12 and they feel and look exactly the same way, that's cool and all, but you don't get to feel and appreciate the speed. If you tell me the A14 is so fast and so amazing, but all the video games run the same on the A14 as they did on the A13 and they did on the A12 because they kind of pretty much reached their limit, there's not really much of a tangible difference there. And also the iPhone 12 Pro Max feels like a complete brick. Now, getting back to the Mi 11 and the S21 Ultra. Aesthetically, they look great. And you put them side by side, I actually like the form factor a little bit more whenever it comes to the Mi 11. Now, they both have the curved edge, very subtle curved edge displays, which is nice. Same thing goes for the back. The form factor actually feels kind of the same, except for the Mi 11 does feel a little bit more compact, even though it has a 0.01 inch bigger screen. So very light, very well balanced, and for the size of the phones, ergonomically, they're not bad at all. The screens are beautiful, the performance is great, the price point is almost negligible at this point, and I think that might have been a strategic thing that Samsung did, because $1199 MSRP, about $900 MSRP. That's about, well, $300 price gap difference when you look at both of them on paper. So the fact that they dropped the price on sale immediately, the day this one went on global launch, tells me that they probably did that on purpose. At $999, I would probably recommend this over this. Just because I like OneUI, I like the video capabilities in here, I like the stylus support that you get with the S Pen, and I really enjoy the haptic feedback. I have really been enjoying using this phone. And then we have the Mi 11, which is a fantastic device, no stylus support, the haptic feedback on it is good, and one thing that I forgot this when I did my unboxing, and I meant to talk about it because I think it's cool. You get haptic feedback when you use the fingerprint sensor, which is pretty neat. And talking about fingerprint sensors, I mentioned this earlier, the ultrasonic fingerprint sensor that you have on the S21 Ultra is more secure than the optical one, and it actually works really, really fast. Watch this. You barely have to touch it. Whereas with the Xiaomi Mi 11, you have to press and hold it. But this is pretty neat. I never would have expected that. There's been such an improvement with the speed and the accuracy and the reliability and the hit detection with the ultrasonic fingerprint sensor that Samsung brings to the table. And I absolutely hated it, all the other iterations. So I'm glad they fixed that. But there we go. The optical one, you do have to press and hold a little bit longer, but that haptic feedback is kind of neat whenever you press the button. I'm not going to lie. You can't go wrong with either one of these. And you can probably find them on a pretty good deal. Also, I do want to mention that the Xiaomi Mi 11 does come with a screen protector pre-installed, and it also comes with a clear case in the box, which is something that you don't get with the S21 Ultra. Other things that come in the box. Now, there's actually two options. The Xiaomi Mi 11, you can get it with the charging brick or without. But if you get it with the charging brick, it comes with a 55-watt charger. Pay attention to this, though. If you buy it in the North American market, you won't really be able to use it because it's got a 220 charger instead of a 110, which is something you're not going to be able to use on your outlets here in the United States. So, depending on region and what you're going for, there could be some differences that make you want one of these over the other one, other than just brand loyalty or the aesthetic design. One other thing I do need to mention, though, these are both 5G devices. However, I have T-Mobile. the Xiaomi Mi 11 5G does not work here in the US for me. Whereas the 5G with the S21 Ultra works perfectly fine. So that's also another reason why I prefer the S21 Ultra over the Xiaomi Mi 11. Now, the Xiaomi Mi 11, the price will probably drop as fast as it does on the Samsung. You can get them for pretty reasonable deals. This is kind of interesting though because of the global launch on this. They're making these phones more Americanized, I feel. They very much are trying to emulate with the software. They look and feel a lot more like iOS and a lot more like OneUI when it comes to the Samsung's version of Android. And I saw some of the screenshots from the release where they're comparing them. And I think that maybe Xiaomi might be trying to make a push towards more Western and North American markets, which I think would be good because Samsung and Apple need competition. LG is clearly not bringing that. Google is also not bringing that. So you really kind of have still the top phones are Samsung and iPhone, or Apple's iPhone. And then OnePlus is quickly gaining up some ground. So if Xiaomi were to make it into the US market, I think that that would be really, really cool because Xiaomi puts out a lot of features that a lot of other phones, like as much as people say that Samsung copies iPhone or iPhone copies Samsung, a lot of these guys really kind of copy Xiaomi. Xiaomi's very creative and inventive with some of the hardware and some of the features that they put out, especially in the camera department. So, solid options. Can't go wrong with either. And a lot of the specs and the stuff are really the same. So if you're looking at it from a dollar-to-dollar perspective, if you can get this for $999 and this for $900, do you care about 5G in the US market? Do you care about the S Pen? Do you care about 4K video at 60 frames per second on the front and superior haptic feedback? Those are really the areas that I care the most about. And if you want the Xiaomi Mi 11, it's a very well-rounded phone, 4600 milliamp battery, so you're going to get a little bit less on the battery life than the S21 Ultra with the 5000. No S Pen support, but it does have, I think, superior speakers when it comes to the Harman Kardon dual stereo setup. It's really, really good. Like, I like it a lot. It's impressive. It's a sleek design, and yeah, it comes with a charger. 5G doesn't work in the US, at least not that I know of, and not on T-Mobile. But it has a lot of winning characteristics that it brings to the table, including the 8K at 30 frames per second with a rear shooter. Also to note, 100 times zoom, 30 times zoom. So that's pretty much it when it comes to the comparison. If you want my honest opinion on these things, which I guess that's why you watch the video, I lean more towards the Samsung one because I like Samsung's ecosphere. I like their devices. I've got the Samsung Galaxy Chromebook. I've got the Note 20 Ultra, I've got the S21 Ultra, I've got the Fold 2, like the Flip. I like what Samsung does. Their phones, I can pick one up in the Android world. It kind of feels the same, and they feel very premium. But this guy right here, the Mi 11, is, I think, a global game changer in perception and availability of what Xiaomi brings to the table. This phone could compete. If you walked into a T-Mobile or a Verizon and you saw this beautiful phone, solid construction, great design, and on the MSRP sheet it said like $899 or $900 versus the $1199 on this one, and then you look at the spec sheets next to each other, I think the Xiaomi Mi 11 could absolutely make a killing here in the US because you're getting such a great and almost equivalent phone for a couple $100 less. And when you're competing over dollars and cents in the smartphone world, that's a very meaningful thing, especially when you're a budget conscious consumer and you're not just walking in saying, give me the latest Note or give me the latest iPhone. So on paper, very, very similar, but they have some great things they bring to the table. Both of them, I think just because of the S Pen and also the 5G in the US, there's still a little bit of a leg up for the Samsung phone, but both of these, if you're interested, you can't go wrong with either of them. I mean, really and truly. If you like Android, they're both running their own versions of Android 11, and yeah, like I said, a lot of the same hardware, a lot of similar performance in so many areas. Both solid phones, can't go wrong, and that's pretty much it for this video. I know it's a very long video and covered a lot of things, but I really wanted to talk about the hardware. I wanted to talk about some of the key differences because if you're in the market to spend $1,000, you need to know what these phones bring to the table, what they're capable of, and what the difference is, because there's not a whole lot in the price points that really separates these two phones. So that's all I've got, guys. Hopefully this has been helpful. Sorry if it was a little bit rambly, but there was so much ground to cover in talking about these phones. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. So that's all I've got. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them down in the comment section. I will get back with you. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button. and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys next time.